Okay, so we're going to go through a quick recap of photosynthesis, and then I'm going to emphasize a little bit more on what's the most important chemical reaction that's occurring inside the chloroplasts. And what's really most important is the flow of energy and the conversion of energy from light energy to chemical energy using the photosystems and using the chlorophyll molecules as light capturing um, organelles, and then transferring that through what is known as a proton gradient and the process of chemiosmosis. So let's take it one thing at a time. So just a quick vocab repeat. Photo means light, synthesis means to make, in this case, food. Photons are particles of light energy that are hitting the chlorophyll in the particular leaves, and there are plenty of chloroplasts in a leaf. They are all designed accordingly by the structure of the leaf, which I'm going to show you shortly. So the next thing you've got to keep in mind is here we go with a little beautiful view of a road which is surrounded by a lot of trees with different colors. Chlorophyll, as you know, is green, but the plant also has other pigments, and these are the other pigments that are present in plants. So chlorophyll being the main one, we're going to focus a little bit more on the chlorophyll part, okay? So we're going to try and take a look and see what's happening in the leaf itself. So inside the leaf, you've got your two surfaces on top and bottom, and you've got a K, which is the stomata through which carbon dioxide goes in and oxygen comes out, okay? Keep in mind, carbon dioxide goes in, oxygen comes out. That's the stomata. So that's the cuticle, and right in the middle you can see the palisade layer, which is the pillar-like areas. And then they focused more on the vein of the leaf, and that's where the food is going to be delivered, and the chloroplasts, which are clustered together right there. So let's take a look at what these individual magic organelles look like. So this guy is a schematic diagram of an organelle, which is known as the chloroplast, and they're going to dissect it for you. You've got the labeling right there. So the granum is the outer part of the stroma part, and the thylakoid is located, those are the pancakes, and they have a very special membrane which is known as the thylakoid membrane. And then the stroma is the area between those stacks of thylakoid, which are known as the granum, okay? So once again, to recap, the entire process of photosynthesis is two parts. One is the light reactions which occur in the thylakoid and the grana, and the other one occurs in the stroma, and that's known as the Calvin cycle. So keep in mind the two reactants and the two products. One product leaves the leaf, the other product is collected inside the leaf as sugar. The one that leaves is the air, which is oxygen. So oxygen in a gas form leaves through the stomata, and the reactants are water and carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide comes in through the stomata, water and minerals and other products come in through the roots into the stem, from the stem up the vascular system, which is the xylem, and then it gets into the leaf via the veins in the leaf, which I showed you earlier. And soon after that, there's a set of reactions which occurs, and so you can see the outline. Basically, the light reaction causes a split in the water molecule through a very unique enzyme, which is the photosystem 2. It's just called photosystem 2 because it was discovered second. Photosystem 1 was discovered or kind of studied better first. So photosystem 2. So photosystem 2 is the one that splits the water, and this is the most fundamental reaction on Earth, is the splitting of the water from because of the light energy. So the photons hit the chloroplast molecules, the thylakoid, and in the thylakoid there are a bunch of special proteins and chemicals, and those are known as the light harvesting centers and the complexes, and they also have electron transport chains, which basically carry the high energy electrons from one location to another or from one protein to another. And that's how the entire process of photosynthesis is shown to you directly in this particular picture. So this particular slide shows you that 6 molecules of carbon dioxide combining with 12 molecules of water and with the help of the light energy are going to magically, it really is not magic, but it's a natural phenomena. It's very important and very fundamental to the existence of life on this planet. It's because of the way plants make their own food, and that's why they're known as autotrophs. So they make their own sugars and they also release oxygen, which makes the atmosphere aerobic and at the same time creates an ozone layer which actually protects the earth from other harmful substances. So let's not divert but stay again here onto the idea of what's the importance of this particular reaction. So you must understand that CO2 goes into the reaction and O2 is the product and sugars are made. Okay, let's go on to the next slide and take a look at where the oxygen comes from. So the oxygen really comes from the splitting of the H2O. Okay, and then you can see that it's organized into basically H and O. The H's are combined with the high energy electrons to make protons, and that's how things kind of move down. Okay, all right. So let's go here. Take a look at the autotrophs and the heterotrophs. You can see that there is basically a reversal pretty much of how things happen with heterotrophs as they break down the organic products by cellular respiration or by aerobic respiration and or combustion, as in the case of fossil fuels or organic fuels, and they produce CO2 and they produce ATP, which is the energy currency of the cell. So what does this mean? What it simply means is what it means to be a plant. Okay, so plant needs to collect light energy, store the light energy in a stable form to be moved around, needs to get building block items from the environment, which is all the nutrients and all that stuff, and produce organic molecules. Okay, let's move on to the next slide and take a look at the plant structure. Here's the stomata, which is an opening guarded by 2 guard cells. They are a pair of kidney cells that decide how much of the stomata should be open or closed during the day or at night. So photosynthesis converts light energy into the chemical energy of food, and you can see the different magnification levels of, first they've got the general leaf, then they've got the stomata, then they've showed you the vein of the leaf, and then they've shown the multiple many chloroplasts which are just below the layers of the cuticle and a little bit below so that they don't get damaged. Alright, so in the mesophyll layer is a bunch of chloroplasts. Each mesophyll cell contains 30 to 40 chloroplasts, so you can imagine how many chloroplasts are there in a leaf. So again, the stacks are known as the thylakoid stacks and granas, and then the surrounding area is called as the stroma, which is the matrix. Okay, and then embedded in those membranes are the photosystems. So first of all, just a quick understanding of the light part. The visible spectrum of the electromagnetic wavelength, the spectrum of color. You've got your visible light, and then you've got your gamma rays, X-rays, UVs, infrared, microwaves, and radio waves. So we are only interested in 2 particular areas, the blues and the reds. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we go through that. So light behaves as a combination. It's a combination of particles of energy as well as wavelengths, which is a wave pattern of energy. Okay, so visible light consists of wavelengths that produce the colors, and light also behaves as though it consists of discrete particles, which are photons, and they carry a lot of energy. So as you can look at this particular diagram, you can see pretty much that there is a specific wavelength that's attractive to plants, and plants attract those because of the type of molecules that they have. Okay, and I'm going to kind of just shorten this so that we go to the actual most interesting part of the entire reaction of photosynthesis. So once those molecules get excited at the reaction center, there's a series of reactions at two different wavelengths, 680 and 700, and that's the wavelength of red light, and that's the best form at that point. And so what happens next is they're like solar powered chemical factories. So what they do is they go ahead and shift from a light energy and energize and create what are known as protons, and the protons basically are responsible. So let's take a look at this particular reaction set, or maybe even something like this. Let's look at this one. This is the one that really is the most difficult for students to understand sometimes. So light gets in there, gets into the photosystem. The photosystem is responsible, photosystem 2 is responsible for splitting the water. And as you can see, as a result of water being split, the hydrogen protons and the electrons together, the hydrogen and the protons together, create what are known as protons inside the thylakoid space. And because of their gradient being higher in the thylakoid space, they pass through a special enzyme known as ATP synthase, and as a result of that, the ADP molecules inside the stroma are converted into ATP by combining with phosphate. So it gets phosphorylated, ADP gets phosphorylated, and basically turns into ATP. That ATP is then used to fuel the Calvin cycle. In addition to that, there's an NADP, which is another kind of um, electron carrier, and that gets energized through another enzyme called NADP reductase, and that happens in photosystem 1, and that produces NADPH. So NADPH and ATP both are energy molecules, and their job is to fuel the conversion of carbon dioxide into glucose, and that's how you get the Calvin cycle, which is the second part of photosynthesis. So the next time we will talk a little bit more about this particular process and have any questions for you guys. Okay, so until next time, bye. Thank you.